A quick word before we get to this episode, which is the introduction to a new series of conversations around practicing creative fugitivity. I'm recording this introduction to the introduction with a heavy heart. This is after the passing of Professor Jason Arday. I don't think I have the words really to go into the mixture of emotions I have after this public lynching of a very gentle, beautiful man. I'm saddened and I'm angry about this tragedy. The introduction following this was created on the 6th of August. It is now the 17th of August after the passing of Professor Jason Arday on Friday, the 14th of August, 2026. Listening back to this introduction, at times there's some foreshadowing of what was to come. I know there's a line in there. I say that a black person can't afford to make a mistake and live to tell the tale. I didn't know Jason personally. I know people who know him. Sadly, I've gotten to know Jason more due to this case of allegations, and since his passing, since his murder, since his lynching, I've been enjoying getting to know a little bit of Jason's work in person, but I've had to really search for the good coverage, the good voices that are championing Jason, the human being that he was. And that saddens me. In the show notes, I'll put some links to where there are those good voices, good exposure, positive, true and honest voices that are championing Jason Arday, because we need to keep voicing these positive stories about Jason Arday, because he was a human being. He was, a father, a lover, a son, a brother, an uncle. He was more than a professor at Cambridge. So much more than, and also bigger than. I'm not going to go into any more. But yeah, you could say this whole series is couched within what has been going on for nearly a month now within the public eye, in the sense of the racist smear campaign against Professor Jason Arday. But as I say in the introduction, it was going on long before this month. The campaign, the vicious, ugly campaign to unseat him from a rightfully earned position at Cambridge started from the day he got the appointment 3.5 years ago. 3.5 years he has been under this scrutiny, this daily having to prove himself, prove his worth, value, credentials of being in this position. What I don't see in the introduction was that Jason Arday was a professor before he got the professorship at Cambridge. He was a professor in Glasgow, at Glasgow. And the sad thing is that if he'd stayed at Glasgow, maybe he would still be alive. I know what has been trailing my thoughts and feelings since I heard of his murder was that it could have been me. It does break my heart to have to create this introduction ahead of the introduction of this beautiful, powerful, honest conversation series that is coming out of the Earth, Sea, Love podcast. And at the same time, I experience extreme joy, pleasure, sadness, annoyance, rage, giddiness. I experience all the feels within this series, within these conversations, within my life. Because that is how I claim my wholeness, my fullness. I may not be looked upon as a human being. Professor Jason Arday was obviously not looked upon as a human being or an intelligent human being or a credible human being. But he still worked, talked, lectured around a practice of love and care. He still worked at trying to change that narrative, that myth, those lies, those fictions that surround black and brown bodies in society, in the academy. Make one thing clear here. Earth, Sea, Love podcast shares these conversations not to prove anything, not to demonstrate our value, not to try and get that tick next to that box that says human being. We share these conversations for us to witness each other, to highlight, underline our wholeness, our aliveness, our fugitivity. Hello and welcome back to the Earth, Sea, Love podcast. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute, you could say. I think we've been on hiatus since last summer, last autumn, and a lot has happened in that time. So much has happened, which I might go into at some point and share here, or maybe not. But let's focus, as I've got something really juicy and important to share with you. Hence, our return. Welcome back to the Earth, Sea, Love podcast. First of all, I would like to state that this is a special series of conversations entitled Practicing Creative Fugitivity. And this series is coming to your ears and hearts with the help of financial support from the Arts Council England. At the beginning of 2026, I, your host, Dr. Sheree Mack, successfully received funding from Arts Council England for the project called Practicing Creative Fugitivity. This project was funded to research into the concept of fugitivity, to create a study circle around the reading of Fugitive Feminism by Akwugo Emejulu, And from our studying together, we aim to create these podcast conversations, to create the Fugitivity Zine and a Fugitivity Manifesto. So I'll be getting into what my understanding of fugitivity is in a minute. And I think I have mentioned it on here before. But I think as an introduction to the series of conversations that we're going to be releasing over the next coming few months, that I will share my thinking and feelings around practicing creative fugitivity now, at the beginning, so to speak, and then come back in at the end of the series and evaluate the project and reflect on how my understandings and learnings and developments around fugitivity have changed, morphed, bloomed even. So expect my voice and my thoughts and feelings at the top and tail of this series of conversations with the Black and brown women, global majority women who have been part of this study circle around the book Fugitive Feminism. A study circle I fondly call now a SistaCircle. This is how I feel this safe space of sharing and discussion, learning and caring has become to me. A SistaCircle brings women together of shared experiences to walk alongside one another on their healing journey. SistaCircles are nurturing, safe spaces to express our feelings and thoughts, experiences, and share stories and seek guidance. We support each other's emotional, physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being and health through gathering to share our experiences, connect, and empower each other. So I am mighty grateful for the creation of this SistaCircle, and I thank each and every one of my sisters for being part of it. Thank you kindly. Dive into this introduction and lay some groundwork. I'm recording this at the time that the case of Professor Jason Arday is in the news. In fact, he had just announced his resignation from Professor of Sociology of Education at the University of Cambridge after his appointment in 2023. Now, I do not want to give platform to his accusers by talking about this issue further, and yet this racial smear campaign, as that is what I am calling it, feeds into the Practicing Creative Fugitivity project as a whole. Now stay with me as I attempt to unravel and reveal what I mean or think around this concept in real time in this introduction. If you haven't heard about the Professor Jason Arday case, that Arday, had been accused of plagiarism by a decade and a half, Nathan Coffness, we'll come back to him. It's been reported in the press, mostly right of centre media outlets, with maybe The Guardian getting in on it too, but maybe not as harshly as the other media outlets. But it's been reporting as if this has just been happening now. You could argue that as soon as Arday was appointed to the on the pedestal esteemed University of Cambridge as the youngest black professor ever in its 800 years history, since his appointment, like in 2023, people have been trying to bring him down, questioning his ability to be in the high esteemed position. How the fuck did a young black man who has autism, neurodiverse, and couldn't speak until he was 11 years old be qualified enough to be in this position, has been the question. And at the time, and as they continue to rage now, Arday, they argue, was and is obviously a DEI hire. He's not there on merit, but because of affirmative action. So it is being reported at this time, 6th of August, 2026, that these allegations of plagiarism are just coming to light now. This is not the case. Months ago, these allegations had been made, and the two universities, Cambridge and Liverpool John Moore, where Arday completed his PhD, have completed investigations into his PhD, and the claim of plagiarism wasn't founded. There are a few citation errors, mistakes, but that was all. End of story. But this wasn't enough for his accuser, Coughness. So he wrote his own article about his findings and said that had been a massive cover-up to protect Arday. Now, the scrutiny that Arday has been under since 2023 because of his appointment and the racial smear campaign now, which is being reported around the world. I mean, USA, New York Post, Australia TV, fucking Meghan Kelly's been talking about it. You have to ask the question, why is this in the news? The claims were unfounded, but now they're attacking his person, saying he's lied about his charity work, or he's lied on his CV, making Arday out to be some kind of fantasist, or the real Walter Mitty, someone said. Why is this making the news and being talked about again and again, to the point that Arday felt that he had no choice but to stand down? Why? I say because of race and racism. Because Jason Arday is a black man and he shouldn't be in academia. He shouldn't be a professor in the highest ivory tower because he is black. Plain and simple. Race and racism. Now, I get accused a lot when I talk about race and the system that created this concept, racial capitalism, white supremacy culture. I get accused of saying it's not always about race, Sheree. Stop playing the race card. Stop playing the victim, Sheree. And then whoever they are, usually a white person, they'll go on to explain away my experiences of living in a racialized body because they know better than me, because I'm not intelligent enough to know shit. I can't think. I can't reason or rationalize, not because they know my IQ level. No, it's because they know I'm black, a black woman. So going back to Arday, he obviously didn't get his professorship at the University of Cambridge because of his talent and intellect, because of his thinking skills. He got the job to bring in more diversity to the academy. He was a DEI hire, so they argue. White-wing people. But wait, Arday was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. Couldn't talk until he was 11, couldn't read and write until he was 18. He left school with just 2 GCSEs, but with hard work and dedication, he went on to gain a bachelor's degree, then a master's, and then a PhD, continuing to work hard, and got his professorship at the University of Cambridge. A prime example of if you work hard, you can succeed, because we are told this is a meritocracy. This is what is used as the standard for when people succeed, telling us that if you work hard enough, everyone can succeed within this society. And meritocracy is also used to explain why some people don't succeed, because they just don't work hard enough. I would argue then that Arday would and did work hard enough, work 2, 3, 4 times harder than his white counterparts to get where he got. But his hard work and talent is explained away as a DEI hire. And did I mention that his accuser, Nathan Coughness, who used to be at Cambridge, but who got sacked from there because of his racist comments, beliefs? This is the same Coughness who is a race realist, apparently, wanker, who said if we got rid of all this affirmative action in the academy, there'd be no black academics in there at all. He says, like, if we got rid of all affirmative, we'd have no black people in higher positions in any part of society, except maybe sport and entertainment. Because according to this race realist, black people are not intelligent enough to be in the academy, not intelligent enough to hold senior leadership positions, because we're better suited for sport and entertainment. That is, using our bodies in service of whiteness rather than using our minds. Because, keep up, we can't think. We don't have the capacity to think. Our brains, black people's brains, are smaller, deformed, debased, and closer to beasts, apes, than we are to the lowest level on the racial hierarchy. Let's be honest. Black people in academia do not receive any special treatment, or even, quoting the words of Kehinde Andrews, black people in academia get special treatment. It's the worst treatment that they get. That's the special treatment that they get, he said. The university, the academy, is anti-black, full stop. If you're black and in the academy, you have to act white, speak white, and not be confrontational. Not be too excellent, not build up your scholarship, not be too visible, because the moment that you are standing in your black excellence, you will be pulled down. You're getting too big for your boots. You are forgetting your place. Let the whiteness, let the white establishment remind you of your place. Let's get on this bandwagon of the smear campaign that might have started about plagiarism within your PhD, but now let's go on and question who you are, who your being is, your character, your personality, your life, your whole being. I put it out there that if this was a white guy, it wouldn't be in the news as it is now. It just wouldn't. Why is it so in the news? Why is it news at all? You have to be asking what is actually going on here with this level of scrutiny, because it's because of race and racism, as I've said. This is a racist smear campaign. People make mistakes. Black people cannot make mistakes and live to tell the tale. Black people cannot make mistakes and live to tell the tale. I know. I speak from experience. This case of Professor Jason Arday has been triggering for myself in so many levels. And this is not me playing the victim here or sitting here, woe is me. But it has thrown up a whole heap of questions for me around my shit hit the fan episode in 2015 when I was accused of being a plagiarist. And straight away, they got turning towards my PhD and wanting to get that taken off of me. Straight away, they were working as a group to discredit me professionally and personally. I got called not only just a liar and a thief, but also a psychopath. I made mistakes. And I apologized to those people that I felt that I had wronged. And those few people came back and said they didn't think I had stolen their work. At the time, other people said what was happening to me was a witch hunt, a lynch mob going after me. I never played the race card then or now. And yet, I can't help but think I was getting too big for my boots. I was gaining traction in my work and organising, being invited to festivals, getting published. I worked hard to create any opportunities I enjoyed and shared these with others. But that still wasn't enough. I must have been a fraud to get there or to get whatever I got. And it all came tumbling down with the accusations of plagiarism. At the time, I thanked my accuser for bringing my mistakes to my attention. I issued an apology at large and withdrew. Nobody wanted to really hear from me. Nobody was listening because they were too busy dissecting their writing, my work, my personality, my character, my personhood, and they were being the victim. I can feel why what is happening to Arday is triggering. Not because I think he's a plagiarist or that I ever identify with that term myself, but how as a black person or black people, we work harder to get the little crumbs from the big table. And even then, when we've worked hard, dedicated, and might even have talent, we're questioned for being there. We shouldn't be there. And can all be taken away in the blink of an eye. We do not have the luxury of making mistakes, making a mistake. And yet we all make mistakes. We are human. Are we not? Are black people seen as human, treated as human, able to walk around in this world having the title label of human being bestowed upon us by society, white supremacy culture? Are we? As in reality, humanness equals whiteness, and whiteness equals humanness. And in order to have whiteness and humanness, the system needs to have blackness. Quote from Fugitive Feminism by Akwugo Emejulu. Our contemporary world is built upon this fundamental, enduring binary of human/other. The Manichaean construction is structured around a tension that requires the simultaneous inclusion and exclusion of black people to produce the humanity of whiteness and manufacture whiteness as humanity. End quote. Fugitivity came to me via Fred Moulton and Saidiya Hartman, first of all. And in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, fugitivity for me is the right to refuse that which has been refused to you. I know I've said it before here. I feel that I have said it before here. For me, in a nutshell, fugitivity is the act of flight. It is the withdrawing of my labor and consent in the current system of white supremacy culture, capitalism, imperialism, colonialism, patriarchy, heteronormity. Fugitivity is refusal and resistance, divesting from the current ways things are playing out as the few hoard the wealth of the world at the expense of the many. Originally, the fugitive was the runaway, the escapee, running, fleeing captivity towards freedom, away from enslavement. Freedom being the end point, but in the process of escaping, there is the in-between space between what they are fleeing from, enslavement, and fleeing to freedom. And here, in this liminal space, in this between space, is where fugitivity is ripe. Hey, the way I see it, I've been accused of being a thief, of stealing other people's work and words. Now, I'm actively embracing the term thief, as I'm fixing to steal my life back, steal my body back from the system. I'm stealing away quietly. Shh. I'm hitching a ride on this freedom train, and I'll take any pockets of deep breathing, freedom, joy, and pleasure and connection on the way. Any pockets of joy, deep breathing, freedom, pleasure, connection I can create. for myself and in community with others. Hence this SistaCircle and Fugitive Feminism, reading in community and taking these theories and ideas and putting them into practice, into our everydays. When I read in Fugitive Feminism that I had to face the truth that black women cannot be human, I was totally distraught. I'd spent a lifetime trying to prove my humanity, to be accepted as human, to be loved, distorting and contorting myself in the process. For what? For something I could never achieve, no matter how hard I tried or worked hard at. Meritocracy, remember? I would never be seen or treated as human because I would never be white, no matter what I did or didn't do. Once I'd expressed the grief of this realization, then came the overwhelming sense of relief and freedom. Fuck it. I no longer had to prove or work or wait until I was humanized by virtue of my proximity to whiteness. Then the whole landscape of non-human other opened up for me with possibilities and potential. I'm not working on creating other labels or trying to create an alternative to the label of human. I'm just enjoying my time and space and energies now of practicing creative fugitivity, whatever that might be. It's unknown, it's ambiguous, it's ambivalent, and I'm okay to dwell in this uncertainty and blurred boundaries. As everything is a construction, and part of the lies and fictions we are fed within this system, that we need to have answers, that we need to know. Fuck it. I don't need to know jack shit. I just need to flee. And hence, this is what's happening. Quote, "This fugitive feminism, a wild proposition, a paradoxical experiment to see whether it is possible to embrace the fugitives' porous, shifting and unstable identity for a black feminist politics of liberation. What would it look like to generate relations of care and solidarity with these others outside the category of human? For instance, what gets exposed about the inhumanity of Europe's boundaries when we consider placing the interests and the needs of the fugitive, the migrant, and the refugee at the center of our caring and solidaristic politics? How might this connect with direct action for radical social change?" End quote. I'm not going to get into what's happened recently with the fleeing of 70,000 plus Moroccan refugees to the Spanish enclave of, is it Ceuta? Some drowning, some being trampled. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, right? Because, again, it's hard right, anti-migrant politicians around the world who, oh my gosh, there's no way that these refugees, people seeking asylum, can get to Europe mainland. Italy's probably the worst. And it hasn't even got any borders with Spain. But they've been up in arms and fear, blaming Spain and labeling these people seeking a better life as invaders or monsters, swimming beasts, swarming beasts. Yeah, just far right politicians feeding and fueling fear around mass immigration. This is the world we live in. Why wouldn't we, shouldn't we, who bear the brunt of it, make the decision to divest from it, to refuse how it molds and manipulates our black bodies, deems us not worthy of being treated like humans? So why shouldn't we flee, take up our bodies and steal away in search of our own joy and freedom? Please join me and my black and brown sisters from the SistaCircle as we share the conversations that we've been having, we've been sharing around practicing creative fugitivity. These conversations will be shared over the next months and will see us out of 2026 and beyond, because this is what we're doing together. This is what we're trying to create together. A world beyond human futures. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye for now.